So in the last video, we set up our React project using Vite, and we also installed TailwindCSS and configured it properly. So if you missed that video, be sure to check it out. In this video, we're going to be building the navigation section. And as you can see from the last video, this is what we still have. And the only thing I've done so far is I've brought in the assets that we'll be needing, and as well as the data will be needed for the different sections. So I will leave a link to a gist folder where you can have access to the assets and this constant.js file as well. So that's the only thing I've brought into the project. So what I will do right now is I'm going to split my screen into two. So let me do this very well, because I'm going to be going from the mobile first approach, and I'll also be making reference to the finished design. So the first thing we want to do is to create this section right here, and this is actually a component. So I'll quickly open my toolbar and create a new folder called components. Inside that folder, I will create the header.jsx file, say rfc. So if I save now, you see it's not showing. So for it to show right here, I need to go back to the app.jsx file, and I will get rid of this. I also don't need this class for now. So I can say header section, and here will be header. So you can see that the header is now showing right here. I can go back to the header now, and I will change this to use the semantic tags of header. I'll give this a class name. I'll set it to fixed so that it stays at the top at all times. Top should be 0. Give it a z index of 500, and we'll set the width to 4. Alright, we'll come back to this and add more styling where we start to scroll. But inside now, I'm going to create another div, and in this div we're going to add our logo and the nav bar and the menu button. So for the logo, I'm just going to create another div for it. Inside this div, I'll create a tag, and this should just link to the home page, and we'll have a name of Alex. As you can see on the website, the cutter with the Alex has this primary gradient color. So to do that, we'll go back inside the a tag and create a span tag and put the cutter inside. I think it's uppercase. Then we'll give this a class name of bg gradient. I'll say to right from blue 600 to purple to purple 600. Then clip the text so that the background color is attached to it, and we'll set it to transparent, so you can see right here. Then for the a tag, also add some styles, and we'll give it font of bold at medium devices and up. Also give it a text of white. And for the tailwind style, I will just be adding the breakpoint as we move on. And for medium devices and up, we'll set the text to large. And for this, we just give this as index of 10. So the next thing is the navigation. So what I will just do is that I'm going to create a component. So I will say navbar, and I will quickly create it here. Say nav.gsx rfca, and I will just import it so that it can appear right here. And the last thing is to create the menu buttons. So we can see menu buttons. I'll create a div. I'll give this div a class of text of white, z index of 10, set it to flex, items will be center, and on medium devices and up, we don't want to show the menu buttons. So we'll have two buttons. First one will be the X from Lucid icons, and we give this a size of 28, and the other one will be the align. So I'll copy this, I'll set this to align left. So let's save. I just know that we're not seeing any content, so let me inspect and see what is going on. So I really don't, I think it's from here. Let me get rid of this first. See if that's causing the issue. So let's refresh. So the issue is coming from the way we installed Lucid icon. So it's supposed to be Lucid React. So what I will do is I will stop my terminal. Yes. Then I will go to my package to JSON file, and I will get rid of this one and save, and quickly do an npm I. So we've installed all the dependencies again. So I will say npm I lucid react. All right, it has been installed. So I'll close this and start my server again. Npm run dev. Make sure we are on the first terminal. All right, so we're getting an error from this Lucid, which is fine because we've uninstalled it. We just append the React one to it, and we'll save. So now we can now see the icons. All right, cool. So let's move on. I think I can now add the right size to each of them here. So I can say 28, and this should be 28 as well. All right, so we'll come back to this first div and give it a class and add the container to it, so that we'll add some spacing on the left and the right, and we'll also add a display of flex. Items should be center, justify should be between, and we'll add a py of 4. So for now, I'll just go to the nav bar and just hide it so that we'll style this one. So say hidden. And so now I want to just show only an icon. So this should be open at first, then once we click on it, a drawer should open, then this X should show. So we need a state to keep track of that. So I'll come right here and create a state, say const, we'll call that state is clicked, and set is clicked. This will be use state, and it's going to be false by default. So create a function to help us toggle between the states. So we say toggle nav click, and this will be an arrow function. I will say set is clicked to whatever the current state is. So it's going to toggle it between false and true. So what we have to do is to pass it to our nav bar. So we say is clicked, and passing is clicked, and also passing the toggle nav click as well. Then for this, we can just come here and say on click, we'll pass in the toggle nav click. And for this, we can just use the is clicked to check if it's open or not. So we say if it's clicked, then do something else, do something. So if it's clicked, we want to show this X symbol right here. Then if it's the opposite, we want to show this. So now you're seeing this, and we need to add a class, and this should be cursor, set this to pointer, same thing here as well. And I think we have to redo this because this will be the main button that we actually click in. So I feel this should be the button. Then this can just be it can just be on its own. We don't even need this anymore. So I think this will make more sense. Then we can just click between this and add the cursor of pointer here. Yeah, this is better. We can also tap between both of them. So now I want to create the drawer, which is the navbar that opens when we click on this. I also need to make it responsive so that it shows at the ending on medium devices and up. So come here, and before it, I'm going to create an array of navigations to store all the navigations. And the first one will be title, home, and the URL will be home. So copy this 4 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and add a comma to them so we don't get errors. And this will be projects, same thing here. This will be about, this will be skills, and this will be contacts. All right, we also need to pass in or accept these props that we are passing right here. So we'll say is clicked, and the other one was toggle nav click. I'll get rid of this class so that we can see it back. And let's just get rid of this entire div because we'll be creating 2 navigations. One will be for the mobile nav, and the other one will be for the desktop navigation. But both of them will be sharing the same array. So for this one, we'll just bring in the nav tag and add a class name and give it a class of fixed. Left will be 0, top will be 0. We'll set the height to 100 VH. The width should be full. Set it to flex. Items should be center. Justify should be start. Justify start. Then we'll add the transition. So we say transition. Can't type. Set it to all and give it a duration of 500. And we don't want to show it on large screens and up. All right, so inside it we'll create an unordered list, and we'll give this a class of height full. The width we set it to 60%. We use an arbitrary number here. Then for the background, it's going to be gray, 900. Padding left will be 4. I'll add the padding top of 36. And the new updates on Tailwind version 4 is that you no longer need to add an arbitrary number for things like padding and margin. It's not that you can't. I can add 36 pixels, it's going to work, but this just calculates whatever values you have, which actually makes sense. So if I say 22, so 22 is not really part of the default spacing, but if you see what it does, it calculates the default spacing and multiplies it by the number you give to it, which is 5.5. All right, so you can see we have this nice looking stuff right here. Then inside this UL, we'll map over the navigation. So we'll say navigation or map, and we'll say for each item, we'll use an li, and we'll set the key to item.title, and we'll give it a class of MB4. Text should be large, the font should be medium, then we'll capitalize it so that the first letter should be uppercase. Then inside it we'll have an a tag, and this will go to the item.url. Then this will be item.title, if I'm correct here. Then for the class, I'm going to give it a text of white, and while they hover, so when we hover over it, it should be text below 600. I also add the transition colors, and we'll set the duration to 300. I can also add the way it comes in, so we'll say ease in. So with this now, when we hover on all this, you can see that everything is coming nice. So what we want to do is to keep track of if we actually click on this, because right now this state and this state are not actually working hand in hand together. So we'll come back to the nav and we'll change this back to backticks, and we can say using the $sign, and we can say if it's clicked, then we'll set the translate x to 0, else we'll set the translate to a negative number. So say negative translate x, and now I can use an arbitrary number, say 190.25, right? So if we save now, you can see that is gone, and when we open it now, see it's coming in, and when we close it, you can see it's going out. So we also need to keep track of the active link. So right now there's no active link, and we want this home link to be default. So to do that, we'll come here and add a state called active link. I'll say set active link. This will be use state. The default will be home. And while we're also there, we want to still add the ability of when a user scrolls, we want the active link to move as well. And the way to do that is by using the use effect, because we want to get the scroll position of the y-axis and each of the sections. So what we'll do is to create a use effect, and we want this to run only once, so this will be an empty array. Then inside this use effect, I'll create a function called handle scroll, and this will be an arrow function, and we want to get the scroll position of the entire window. So we can do that by saying scroll position, set this to window dot scroll y. So y is basically the vertical axis, the entire window. and we want to also get the position of each of the sections. So I can do that by saying document dot query selector, or I want to grab all the section that have an ID. So if a section does not have an ID, it's not going to target that section. So we want to say, oh, this is wrong. So we say sections, and say for each section we want to do something. So we say, so first of all, we say if there is a section available, they will create a variable called they will create a variable called section top, and we'll grab the section and get the offset. So we say offset top, and we also want to get the section height. So we say section offset height. So this first one is for getting the entire section of the viewport, and this section is getting the section from the top of the viewport to where the section actually starts from. So now with this we can say if the scroll position is greater than or equals to the section top, and if the scroll position is lesser than or equals to the section top plus the section height, then we want to do something. We just want to now set the active link to the section dot id. All right, I hope that makes sense. Then what we just need to do is to make sure that we are outside the function, and we'll say window dot add event listener. I want to listen for a scroll event because we'll be scrolling. Then we want to now call this handle scroll function, and we also need to clear out or remove the event listener to avoid memory leaks. So we say windows dot remove event listener, and we'll set the position to scroll and handle scroll. All right, so with this now, once we have much content and we go to each of the sections, this will get active, but we need to activate that actually using this active link. So you can come right here, and let's just do this. Let's just do this at the beginning. So this will be in curly brackets now because we want to add some states to it. So we use the $, and we'll say if the active link is equals to the item the title. So remember, the active link is home and the title is home. So if both of them are the same, then we want to make sure that the text is blue 600, else just defaults to the default one, which is white. So let's check to see if that is working. If that is not working, because we need to pass this white right here, because it actually makes sense for us to pass it. So if the active link is equals to the title, make it blue, else make it white. So it should work now. Yeah, it makes more sense. And again, while we are still inside the A tag, we'll add a state to listen for a click. So on click, we just want to toggle the nav click. So when we click on this and select it, we want to like close the nav by default, which is what we want as well. All right, so the next thing now is to make it responsive for desktop screen. So I can now open this, and I can open this. Well, so for the desktop nav, we'll still need a nav semantic tags, and we'll give this a class of feeding by default. Then on medium devices and up, we'll set it to inline flex. Then inside it, create an unordered list and give it a class of flex and the gap of 10. And we also want to capitalize the text inside. Then we'll map over the navigation and say for each of the item. I'm kind of repeating what we did here, but the styling will be a bit more. So we set it to the li and give it key, should be title. Then for the class, we'll set it to inline block and give it a font of medium. Then inside the li tag, we'll have the a tag. And you know what I would do? I would just copy this a tag that we have because it's almost similar. Then we no longer need this on click right here. So we save and we'll add some styles now. And for the styles, we can just set this to relative, and we'll add an after pseudo class and set it to absolute because we want to add this underline you're seeing right here. So we'll set it to absolute. Then after pseudo class, we'll give it a bottom and we'll set it to, let's do an arbitrary number here. So we say negative 0.2 rem. Then after we set the left to 0, after again we'll give it a height. I'll set this to 3 pixels. After class again, we'll give it a width and set it to 20 pixels. Then the after class, we'll set the border radius to extra large. And for the after class, we also need a transition. So we say transition all. After class again, we set the duration to 300 and we set it to ease in. Then for the hover state, make sure you're still using the after pseudo class. So we set it to hover. Then for the hover state, we say hover after, and we set it to bg blue 600. So let's check what we have so far. Oops. So if I go back, all right, that's fine. So when we hover on this, we want this line to fill up the entire space. So we can do that by just saying, let's do it right here. So we say hover and we set the width to, sorry, this should be after. Then we can set the width to full. It should be 2L. So if we check now, yeah, this is nice. Okay, so but we want this to be at the default for the active link. So to do that, we just need to copy all these styles from here like so and paste it right here. So if we save now, it's not coming in because it should be full. So instead of this, we'll set this to be full. And we no longer need this hover state and this other ones as well. So let's check now. I am guessing we need to still add the background color to the after. So let's just do it here. So we say after, then we say BG blue 600. So So this should fix it now. Okay, so the last thing we'll be doing on this navigation section is to add this backdrop filter when we scroll. So what we do is I'll go to the app and I'll just add some dummy data. So I can just say lorem 2000. I think this should be much. So if we go back now, we can scroll. Okay, so that's looking a bit ugly, but that's fine. Come back to the nav, or sorry, go back to the header. I want to add another state called scrolling. So we say scrolling and set scrolling. So also create a function called handle scroll, and we'll create a variable called scroll, and we want to get the scroll position. I want to get the scroll property for the y-axis. So, and what we'll do, and we just say if the scroll, which is actually whatever property we get here, if it's greater than 100, then we want to set is scrolling. Set is, okay, this should be set is scrolling. So set is scrolling to true, else we just want to set is scrolling to false. And this won't really make sense because we want this to happen as a side effect. So what we just do is to put this inside a use effect that we run once as well. So paste it now, and we want to clean up this function, but first we want to listen to the add event listener. We'll listen for a scroll event, and we'll call the handle scroll function. Then we can return and say window dot to remove event listener. I'll set this to scroll and passing handle scroll. So let me go back and see if we added the remove one here. Okay, yeah. So now I want to check if we are scrolling on our web page, and like I said, it's only going to run just once. So we'll do that right here by adding the curly brackets and backticks like so. And we can say if we are scrolling, then we want to add a backdrop. So we say backdrop. I will add a blur. It should be blur, and let's just set it to small. Then for the gradient, we just set this to gradient to right. I will say from neutral 900. We'll make this a bit faint by adding 50 to it to have a mixture of a lighter version of it. Then we'll also say to, then we'll say via the neutral, same thing, we'll say 900 and we'll add 50 to it. So you can play with these numbers. It's just something I came up with. So you can decide to go with what works for you. Then we'll say to gray 950, and we want it to animate in. So say animate in, and the duration should be 500 milliseconds. Then else we just want to make sure that the background is transparent, and the duration also should be 500, and we also want to animate it out. So say animate out. All right, so let's see if that's working. So if we scroll now, that is not working. So should I refresh? So let me get rid of this and refresh it again. So if we scroll now, you can see that we're having that nice backdrop filter. All right, that wraps up this lesson. In the next video, we are going to be building the hero and project section.